Hey there, everyone. Ill Factor from beatacademy.com here. And for the month of July this summer, I'm doing a sweet sale on my flagship vocal production course, Breakthrough Vocals. Now, if you'd like to try out the course with a discount, visit beatacademy.com/vocals for more details. This course doesn't just cover the basics of getting great vocals, but advanced techniques that help you get vocals in multiple genres such as EDM, rock, pop, hip hop, R&B, and so much more. Also, I share with you how to do all of this with just the basic tools you already have in your DAW. So this video's topic is going to be focused on creating the right vocal process. This is how you can set yourself up to get the best possible performance before you even hit record. Not only would this topic be very beneficial for you getting and recording your own vocals better, but it will be very helpful for you when collaborating with other artists to get the best out of that performance so that the whole process can be a lot smoother throughout the production of your music. So having a great foundation and a great vocal process will give you better results from the get-go. So let's dive right in.
Now, recording vocals is more than just hitting the record button and letting someone sing. You're making sure that you're also providing a process that's seamless so that you can capture the moment. I know earlier we talked about having the performer in the right mindset, so they're ready and focused to give you the right delivery of a performance. But it's up to you to actually be able to create a process that captures that moment. I've seen in many sessions where new engineers or interns are having the vocalist wait for them to dial up the right plugin or to set up the session right, or hold on while I get this tuning thing right, and then we can get that vocal. Meanwhile, that vocalist is primed, ready to deliver, but they're just being slowed down. So you want to have the mindset of being 10 steps ahead of the vocalist, always prepared to provide a seamless process. And this could look like many different things. For one, I usually tend to key map certain shortcuts or key commands, and I'll memorize them by heart so I know how to access specific commands easily and quicker than just fumbling around with the mouse. So what I'll do is I'll map certain key commands to my computer keyboard so I can instantly access when I'm recording, punching in or punching out, which we'll get to in a little bit. Also, you want to be able to maybe even having templates for your vocal recording sessions. So that means that you already have a session loaded up with some reverbs and delays and things like that, which we'll talk about processing down the road. But maybe you might having a session with about maybe 12 vocal tracks on standby, ready, already mapped out. So that's always a helpful thing. So I'll start off with a session that's got 12 vocal tracks blank, ready, already labeled with a verse, already routed to vocal buses and things like that. And that is a great place to start from. That way you're hitting the ground running and you're not causing the vocalist or the performer to just, wait on you to get things moving.
Before I start tracking any vocals, I'm going to start customizing some punch in, punch out parameters, and this develops a seamless process when recording vocals, and this is especially important when you're collaborating or recording other artists or singers. The last thing you want to become is a stumbling block for them when it comes to missing out on capturing the moment. And that's really big when it comes to recording other artists, even yourself at times, is that you want to be able to catch the moment. You don't want to let anything slide by. So I'm going to Command K, which opens up the key mapping so that you can map anything highlighted in orange to your computer keyboard. We're going to click the global record button, and I'm going to assign that to my number pad number 3. Now, that's a personal preference. You can assign it to anything. It could be, 5W, whatever you want it to be. You can also MIDI map it to a device. But I like this because it just, I was always used to hitting 3 from back in the day when I was using Pro Tools to punch in, punch out. So it just kind of stayed stuck in my brain. So I'm going to leave that at 3. And what that does is that allows me to just play and punch in the moment I want to record something and then hit it again to stop recording. And that's the whole concept of punching in, punching out. So while you're playing, you don't necessarily have to always start from the beginning to re-record that pass or that verse or that chorus. Let's just say that one word was just off, or maybe you need to recut that specific part. So I'll literally just punch in and punch out. Let me give you a demonstration of this. So we're gonna have the vocal play, and I'm just gonna punch in, meaning I'm gonna trigger the record, and then punch out. That means hit it again so that it stops recording.
Last night you said something to me in the way your body talks.
So right there is where we just recorded that section. So I punched in here and I punched out there. Pretty obvious and very self-explanatory. Now, what I want to do is come up before I even start recording is I make sure I actually label the tracks that I'm assigning the recordings to, and this is going to pay off in the long run. Trust me, this is something you want to do. If I just start recording and then label after, what you realize is while it's the first time it's being recorded onto your DAW, whether it's Ableton or Pro Tools, they will timestamp or assign the file name according to the track that it's currently residing in. So for instance, if I record audio into this, as you noticed earlier, it's 322-audio. So what I want to do is I want to keep this in the file system and make it easier for me to search just in case I have to backtrack or look for specific files. So I'll call this new verse. That way, anytime I record, it's going to be new verse 1, new verse 2, new verse 3. And this makes it really helpful, especially when you're trying to manage your files in big sessions and big projects. You want to be able to allocate where those files at and not have to comb through files that are randomly numbered, like 17 audio 1. You don't know whether that's a ukulele or an actual vocal track. So be sure to title the tracks you're going to record onto before you actually record. That way it's printed that way in the system. Easy to find. Small little detail, but it goes a long way at the end.
Now, before we actually start to commit and record vocals, I would tend to have the artist run through the song about 2 times from top to bottom. And the reason for this is I want them to pretty much warm up their vocals. I've noticed a big difference when I've had a vocalist jump right into maybe starting at the chorus or maybe starting at the verse. So we'll start the verse and just go from there, as opposed to let's just run through the song top to bottom at least 2 times, and what that's doing is just helping them just to warm up. And so there are a couple warming exercises that you can do, especially some breathing exercises, which I'll share with you down the road, that you can do to actually help warm up and prepare that vocalist for the best take possible. And that's really important. So I'll go through that twice, and then what I'll do is after I've gone through a warm-up take twice, I'll even record those 2 times from top to bottom, and I'll keep them tucked away in my playlist, which I'll mention later. I'll keep them tucked away in my playlist just in case they miraculously just nailed it in one of those takes. I can always go back and reference those and take certain pieces from that. But I'll usually go through the song once or twice. Then what I'll do is I'll start at the verse, and I want to start building momentum. I'll go to the chorus, from the verse, pre-chorus, and the chorus, or the drop, or whatever the main part of the song is. And then what I tend to do is I'll go back to the verses after we've tracked a great, strong chorus lead. And the reason why I'll go back to the verse, at least the first verse, is because by that time, their voice is well seasoned and well prepared. And so you tend to notice a verse performance and a chorus when you're just doing it cold turkey. So I want to have a strong verse performance-wise and tone and texture. So once they rocked a good chorus, I'll go back to the verses and just recut that so that overall throughout the song, the performance is strong and good all around, as opposed to like, I don't know, I can feel that this verse was recorded first and then they gradually got better at the chorus. You want an all-around great performance from top to bottom. So that's my method of not only preparing the vocalists, but just warming them up so that we can get the best possible take.
So now what I'm going to do is we're just going to track a little bit of the verse. So the verses start here. I placed a marker just for my, my sanity once again, so I know where things are at throughout the session. And what I'm going to do is just highlight these first 4 bars. And I'm going to hit Command L, or just basically move your loop brackets to those locations. And we're going to turn on our punch in and punch out commands right here on the top, located to the loop button. And we're going to take this loop off for right now. And basically this is another way to punch in and out, but it does so automatically. So by hitting play, and if you actually trigger the global record button, it'll start to automatically record once it hits this section here, and it'll stop recording once it gets to this section here. Let me give you an example.
Last night you said something to me in the way your body talks. With silkweed.
So this works great. Now I love the punching and punching out method, and if you're not used to working with that, you definitely want to take advantage of creating that into your workflow, because that's going to be really helpful down the road, specifically if you're just trying to get one section, like maybe just this part here, and you want to do that part over without having to punch in manually, and making sure that you're not going to capture exactly on the money. So what we're going to do is just once again highlight just that specific section, leaving the punch in, punch out buttons enabled, and we'll do the same thing this time. It'll let the previous recording that we've done alone punch in for this section and then punch right out.
Last night you said something to me in the way your body talks.
So that makes it really easy to get and fix any of those errors during the recording process.
Now, vocal comping is the process in which you're recording a specific take and you're taking from other previous takes to create one finalized take. So we might have a great beginning of a verse, but the middle of that was pretty shaky. So it's okay, I'll record another take of that, and what I'll do is I'll just replace the shaky part with a good take that was maybe done 3 or 4 takes down the road, and I'll just go ahead and take the good take and just copy and paste that into the previous take. So the goal here with vocal comping is that you're taking bits and pieces from previous takes to create one good strong take. And there's also a recording process of vocal comping, which I'm going to illustrate to you now.
Let me just show you how I go about vocal comping, and this is a great helpful tool, specifically if you're going to be working on your own vocals. If you're recording yourself and you're trying to record and you've got yourself in a closet, but the computer is about 10 feet away. So you can basically just highlight a specific section. Let's say we wanted to go over and over the first 2 bars of this verse. Well, we'll highlight this section here, and we're going to click that so it's looped. And this time we are going to make sure that the loop button is on, and we're just simply going to hit record, and we're just going to let this record over and over again, a couple takes, and then I'll show you how we go about selecting the right vocal performance.
Last night you said something to me in the way. Last night you said something to me in the way. Last night you said something to me in the way.
Okay, so now once you've done that, we've just recorded about 3 times. You want to make sure that obviously I stopped it like halfway or the very midway in there. So I'm just going to stretch the very last performance to that. We're going to double click this, and you'll notice you'll see 3 consecutive takes in there. Well, that's take 1, this is take 2, and this is take 3. So we're going to make sure that we hit our loop button, and the purpose for this is so that when we drag our loop bracket within the actual waveform window down here, when we drag that, we want it to change on top too. So what we see in the arrangement window will correspond to what we see down here. Okay, so if I wanted to take, let's say, the beginning of this and replace it with the second take, we just simply click the loop bracket and say move over to the second take. And now we have this performance from the second take, this one from the third. And you can see how it's jumping back to the third, to the second. And now let's just say that this part over here, we want it from the first take, because this is the best part of that in the first take, and so on and so on. And so you can get the idea of how we're doing this. So now the reason why I'm bringing this up now is because it is part of the recording process. And if you're tracking vocals, you have the vocalist there, and you want to be able to just loop. And maybe this is very helpful for the artist. Is like, just keep this on loop and let me just nail down a whole bunch of takes.